It's your boy. It's your boy. Oh, all right, hey everyone. What up? We're gonna start breakout in about 30 seconds. So get ready to get a good seat. Uh, Make sure you can see the screen. If you feel like you're really far away, if you feel like my font's kind of small, feel free to like pull up closer. Um, and we're gonna take the next little while to kind of code and explore Git a bit. So I'll give you like good 20 seconds to get seated and comfortable. If you've got notebooks, pull out your notebooks. We're gonna hop right into it. Whew. Oh man. Cool. All right. It just took me a second to figure out how to. I always get this wrong, man. Like, full screen the thing and still see the notes on two different screens. You know what I mean? Like, just the presentation logistics. So, yo, what up, seniors? How y'all doing? We're just gonna be going through breakout. So a little bit of that hush hush. Yeah, much appreciated. Nice. Okay, so this is gonna be an extra long breakout. Extra long. So breakouts are generally, you know, like an hour, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes an hour and 5 minutes. Today might be closer to an hour 20, hour 25 maybe, right? I might even give you like a good minute break in between just to get a breather. But I promise they're not usually that long. We're going to do this breakout in two parts. The first part, so we're going to go over the curriculum. Not that you haven't done that already, but I mean, why not? Why not just go through the curriculum again? You're going to talk about like the outline of the curriculum, how evaluation kind of works. And then the second part of the breakout is about your workflow as a developer. So I'm going to be coding a little bit, but the emphasis of the breakout isn't on the code that I'm writing, but rather the workflow that I go through using Git. Because you've used Git a little bit at this point, right? It's a good time. We're going to do some more. So yeah, workflow as a developer. It's going to involve Git. It's going to involve Vagrant. It's going to involve Sublime. Just kind of address any questions that you have there. But to start off with, a rare treat. Notes. Not notes. Sorry, slides. You're gonna see like a lot of me. I feel like I didn't introduce myself very well. I'm Nima. I'm one of the instructors. I look like this. Just in case. Here we go. Let's see. So there's some pros and cons to having a unique name. My name is Nima Boscarino. I'm half Italian. And what that means is that my SEO, pretty good. I just throw my name on things and they show up. So, you know, if you ever want anybody to promote your stuff, I have about 3 followers on the internet. I have a Spotify playlist that's followed by 4 people. So I can get the word out. Anyways, you're gonna see a lot of me, especially in this first couple like weeks. Our curriculum. Weeks 1 to 4. Week 1, we're gonna look at software dev. You've already started playing with some Node stuff, a little bit of that JavaScript, right? Now, I want to give you a heads up. I'm gonna say a bunch of words, and the words are not gonna make a lot of sense, and that's totally fine. I just want you to feel like somebody said those words before when you run into them. So there's Node. You're gonna do some testing, as in we're gonna test you. You're gonna test your code later this week. You've already gotten your programming pairs. So every day this week you're going to have programming pairs. You're going to partner up with somebody and code together. But I mean the big kind of chunk of like the importance of this week is to learn about approach, right? How are you going to approach problems? How are you going to deal with the stress of learning a new language? How are you going to debug your problems, right? How are you going to figure out where something is wrong in your code? Right? That kind of stuff is what we're really focusing on this week. And the fundamentals of JavaScript. Fundamentals. You have a mock test, a mock challenge/test this Friday. You don't really have to like stress out about it. It's not something you have to study for. Just kind of show up and we'll give you like a challenge, a set of challenge questions to kind of code your way through. Right? And that's in preparation for what we do in week 2, which is honestly almost the exact same test, just a week later. The mock test is not for marks. Those marks don't count. It's for you to get ready to do more of it. The real test is the next Friday. We'll talk more about this later this week. I just wanted to give you a heads up. If you have questions about this, just ask. I'll help you out with it. Week 2, we hop into our first project. I'm going to talk about projects a bit more in a second, But basically, week 2 is built around building a particular project over the series of days. So every day you'll be adding more and more features when you're learning new concepts, right? So the concepts that we'll be learning are HTTP, whatever that is, REST. You're going to need a lot of REST. It's also some kind of technical thing, but make sure you get some sleep. Express, whatever that is, MongoDB, all this stuff. I might recommend maybe coming back to these slides at some point just to congratulate yourself on how much stuff you've learned, because it kind of adds up pretty quickly. In week 3, so after we've done the test on Friday of week 2, we hop into another project that looks at the front end of the web. So whereas in week 2 we start off playing around with the back end, whatever back end really means at this point, front end is going to be all the visual pretty stuff. So if you're really into design, if you're really into making things that look really pretty, you're going to enjoy week 3 a lot. We'll be doing things like JavaScript in the browser, playing around with something called jQuery, right? You've used HTML and CSS a little bit at this point. We're going to be playing around with a lot of that in week 3, and then something called Ajax. Week 4, you get to work on your midterm projects, which you actually saw demos for today, right? So if you saw the demos today and some gears started turning about things that maybe you want to play around with, or some projects seemed particularly interesting, awesome. In about a month, you're going to be working on that stuff. And I might even recommend hunting down the people who did those demos to ask them a little bit about their experience working through those projects, right? Maybe ask them, was this particular thing really hard, or was this other thing fun to work with, And in week 4 we do whatever these things are. Whoops. SQL, ORMs, some stuff. What you might notice, wow, it's really hard to go back and forth. What you might notice is that the amount of acronyms kind of increases as you go along. That's just a byproduct of becoming a developer. Week 5 is your remote week. You'll be working on computer science concepts. So the current people who did the demos, they're now gone for the week. They're going to be working on whatever this stuff is, object-oriented programming, tree traversals, in general, algorithms. So they're working on stuff that isn't necessarily web devy, but more computer science-y. So you get a whole week where you're remote. And you technically have no mentor support for that 1 week. You're still free to message us on Slack, right? If you show up to me and you're crying and you're I need help with this stuff, I'll still help you with it. But for your week 5, mentors and instructors will be focusing on the other cohorts. There's still a full week of content though, heads up. I'm telling you this now so that you're not surprised in a couple weeks. Week 5, just because you're not in the office does not mean you're doing less work. There's just the same amount of work, 8 hours of work a day. You'll find out more and more about this in week 4. We'll give you specific information for this. And then the big stretch, weeks 6 to 10. In week 6, you get to hop into another project. This one is a clone of Slack, and we'll see this in a second. But it uses a tool called React, which a lot of people are really excited for. We get to take a look at some more concepts like WebSockets and whatever a single page application is. In week 7, we learn Ruby. In week 8, we finish up Ruby in the beginning part of it, and then we hop into the final projects. We hop into building genuinely whatever you want in a group of 2 to 3 people. And actually, hey, do any of the seniors want to, are you enjoying the final projects? No? That's not what I was looking for. Yay! Woo! It's a fun time. What do you get to work on for your final projects? Whatever you want. Whatever you want. So maybe start thinking now. Is there something you came into boot camp thinking about? You want to build it? You can build it. Right? We can help you out with it. So final projects, generally my favorite part of the boot camp. working on literally whatever you want. Plus, you'll still have lectures, but the lectures are going to be not about curriculum stuff. You know, we won't be giving you, like, teaching you about things that we're going to give you assignments on, but rather advanced special topics. And then you've got your demo day, and that's fun. Obviously, we'll give you more and more information about how that process is going to work as we get closer to it. But at any point, feel free to ask me or the other instructors or the mentors, and we'll give you more information about that. The crux of it really is there's 3 projects that we evaluate you on. The 3 projects are the ones you do in week 2, 3, and 6. So you work on a bunch of other projects, but these are the ones that we're evaluating. TinyApp is a URL shortener. So if you know, like, bit.ly to make your URLs a bit shorter, that's what you're working on next week. Tweeter, it's a clone of Twitter. And Chatty is that Slack clone that I told you about. What's interesting about these is that we scaffold up building up these projects over the course of multiple days, where over the course of like a week, you'll be learning things, and the assignments are going to work you towards adding more and more features to complete these projects. There's 2 projects that we don't evaluate. Still have to do them. One is the GitHub API client. It's a 1-day project. This is going to be next Monday. So in a week, you get to spend the entire day just kind of working on this one single day project. And week 7, you get to work with Ruby, and we have a project there called Jungle. Again, not something that we're going to evaluate, but something that you do have to complete. When I say evaluate, I mean we're going to make sure that you finished it, but we won't be giving you marks and feedback on these 2. Okay. You get 4 tech interviews over the course of the boot camp. That's where, you know, lucky you get to be, you know, in a room with a mentor or an instructor for about an hour as you get grilled on whatever that particular week's content is. So if you have a tech interview in week 2, we'll be asking you questions about what you did in week 1. If you have a tech interview in week 8, we'll ask you questions about what you did in week 7. So you don't have to study for these tech interviews. Just do your assignments and you'll be fine, right? Really, they're more of an opportunity for you to get experience in like a tech interview setting, right? To get some experience presenting things and working through problems one-on-one with someone. Often what they turn into is just a mentoring time, you know, an hour with a mentor. So not something that you should like stress out about, and you will be given the particular days and times when you'll have yours. There are a bunch of multiple choice quizzes in the first 4 weeks. So those are integrated into Compass. You can and should retake your quizzes if you don't get 100%. Right? Maybe you do the quiz once and you get 50%. Big whoop, whatever. Just do it again until you get 100, until you feel comfortable with it. Then you move forward. Something that I might even recommend is budgeting some time to once in a while go back and just redo a quiz. Right? Just to refresh yourself a little bit. But I do want to say, you can take quizzes as many times as you want. Do it until you get 100%. Now, I had mentioned that there's, like, I kind of hand-waved the fact that there's a test. Got some dogs. I'd hand-waved the fact that there's a test on this coming Friday and then the next Friday. We're going to call that the assessment test. Again, it's a series of like programming challenges in JavaScript. It's not, you know, more important than the projects, and it's not, as it says over here, less important than the projects. It's just about as important as the project. With the tests will be on the particular day. So there's one, a mock test, which again does not count for marks at all, on this coming Friday, where we schedule some time for you to just kind of, you know, like sit in that classroom over there and do the stuff for a couple hours. But you get until Sunday night. right? You get until Sunday night to finish it with 100%, right? So that goes for the mock test and the like real assessment test next Friday. Is you get until Sunday night to finish it. So don't stress out if you don't finish it while you're sitting in that room. You can keep working on it. Overall, here is a little summary of your evaluation. It's built up of completion, right? Do your assignments, do your readings, mark them as complete. So in Compass, when you finish something, whether it's a reading or an assignment, you click mark as complete to track all the things that you finish, because we're gonna need that. We're gonna need to see what you finished. Code reviews. So once in a while, we will come and review your code, or we will review your code through the project evaluations. Tech interviews. So there's those 4 tech interviews that you have. The quiz answers that you do in those first 4 weeks. The test answers for the real test next Friday. And then generally assistance requests will be kind of like evaluating you as you go through, right? I want to say this evaluation, it's not about like a letter grade. By evaluation, we mean we as educators, how are we kind of keeping track on how you're progressing so that we can help you out some more, right? So this is just a list of the vectors that we're using to figure out how to serve you better, right? So don't stress out too much about this stuff. It's just we're being a little transparent here about how we're keeping track of you. Are there any questions? Cool. And that's the end of the breakout. So no, just kidding. That was, I saw that face. So this was part 1. So part 1 of the breakout, 15 minutes about curriculum, and now we close the slides, we mirror the display, and we're gonna hop right into a little bit of demo. We're gonna demonstrate some things. So I'd put down some questions here. Who is this person? I think I've kind of answered that. I'm Nima. What are we doing here? Learning to code. When can you leave? 10 weeks from now. So I hope you've kind of messaged your friends or your family. Been like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a bit. You know, bring some stuff here to make the stay a little bit more enjoyable. Bring some pictures of your loved ones. Yeah, so I have a picture of one of, I don't know if y'all have met Sam yet, but, you know, just, this is your home now. Welcome. Okay, so the stuff that I'm going to kind of work through right now is how do I do things as a dev? What should a dev do? Not code-wise, but what's your like workflow? What should your approach be? And the things that I'm looking at are Sublime, Vagrant, Git, and then also just general student flow of existence. Like just, you know what, how about this? What if I say lectures? What are they good for? Right, just this one question here, because you are going to have lectures every day. Every day you're going to have to listen to somebody like me, or me, just kind of shout at you for a little bit. What are lectures good for? What should your expectations going into a lecture kind of be? Let's start with this. Are lectures always going to be related to assignments? No. Lectures are not always directly related to assignments. That can be a little bit weird. It can feel a little weird if you like listen to somebody talk and then you hop into an assignment and it's not like the assignment isn't exactly about what the lecturer was just talking about. It feel a little weird. Just get comfortable with it, right? Your lectures are not always going to be like a walkthrough of how to do your assignments. They'll generally be introducing a concept. That concept might be used that day or it might be used, you know, tomorrow, right? The important takeaways for lectures are a couple things. First of all, how did the lecturer approach their code? right? So when you see a lecture such as like tomorrow, right, we'll be working through a demo, sometimes things will go wrong, right? How did they deal with issues, right? What did the person Google, right? Where did the person put a console log statement? You know, that kind of stuff. That's what I want you to pay attention to during a lecture, right? Is what was the person's approach? General things like high-level concepts. So, say I was to bring up the curriculum slides again. Things like HTTP, there might be a lecture about HTTP. And in that lecture, the lecturer might, code up a whole demo or whatever, very complicated or whatever. I don't want you to pay attention to the code that they're writing 100%, right? I want you to understand the high-level themes of what something like HTTP means, right? I know that's meaningless to you right now, but in a couple days, that's what I want you to focus on. The general use of tools. So right now, I'm using Sublime. That's a tool that I'm using. Another tool that I'm going to use soon is Git. And what I want you to focus on there is, for what purposes am I using these tools, right? If I forget something about a tool, like if I run into a Git issue, right, where do I go look for information about how to use that tool properly? Whoa. This thing fell off of my head. Right. General use of tools. Now, during the lecture, it's generally like a demonstration kind of situation. It won't be like a history lecture where we'll talk about like languages, code was invented in 1732. Like, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to work you through big projects or something to see concepts in action. But something that can be a little bit tempting to do is code along with what the lecturer is coding, right? Do not attempt to code along. Just don't. You're going to fall behind. If you try to code along with what the lecturer is doing, right, you're often going to fall behind. Or say I'm the lecturer, something that I often do in my lectures is I'll code up things that are wrong on purpose, right? And then I'll fix them for you. Like, while I'm showing you, I'll go like, oh, see, this was a mistake, and I'll fix it, right? If you fall behind and all you have is a bunch of broken code, like that's meaningless, right? Instead, notes and code will be sent out after the lectures, right? Often within like 10 minutes, right? Maybe 20. Like, the notes and the code will all be sent out, right? If you want to, what I do recommend doing is keep notes during the lecture on like these things up here. So keep notes on the lecture during the lectures on high-level concepts, use of tools. Maybe I mention something or I go Google something really cool and you want to learn more about it. Make a little note for yourself about that kind of stuff, right? Maybe I show one cool single line of code. Feel free to write that down, right? But don't attempt to stick with everything that I write. Does that sound clear to everyone? Cool. Yeah. Now, this is a question that pops up once in a while, is how do you like structure your notes? Something that I might recommend to do is maybe make a folder. Make a folder called Boot Camp Notes or something. And inside of that folder, you can every day just make a week 1, day 1 dot MD. Right? Week 1, day 1 dot breakout dot MD. Right? That's something that could work for you. Just making a new file every single time there's a lecture. Do you know what MD means? No, I just kind of wrote it down. You want to throw it in? Markdown. Whew. So MD stands for Markdown. Oh, fun fact, I was muted this whole time. So be as lazy as you can within limits. Did you see that? Let me do it again. Nothing's highlighted. All of a sudden, everything's highlighted. How did that happen? Yeah, Command or Control A, right? Select all. And now I'm going to erase everything. Amazing. Wizardry. Here's some more stuff. Console.log, heyo, and console.log, saw my dudes, right? I've got a couple things, like, oh, you know what? This one here, it would look so much better underneath. Two cool ways to do it. Here's one. Command X does cut. I can move down and Command V to paste again, right? I can cut and paste. Here's another awesome thing that I can do. I can select an entire line. An entire line has been highlighted. And keep your eyes trained on this. Oh shoot. Oh no. I was thinking VS Code. There we go. Woo! Woo! Oh my god. What? Let me make that even clearer. I have a bunch of these. I highlight this one. Whoa. What? Yeah, you can do that. There's all sorts of cool hotkeys in Sublime. This particular one is Control plus Command plus arrow key. So up or down. Right? Control plus Command plus arrow key. As long as you have something highlighted, move it up or down. Right? It's nice quality of life stuff. You don't need this to be a developer. You don't need it. Right? But it'll save you some time. Why not use it? It'll make you look cool. Why not use it? Let's see. What else do I want to add in here? I've written a bunch of code at this point. Do you see this shape right here? What shape is it? It's a circle. What does circle mean? Circle means it's not saved. I want you to fear circles, right? I genuinely want you to just get a. People were talking about how you're uncomfortable with things that are off center, right? Welcome to another thing that makes you uncomfortable, right? Like you did not like dirty things, right? This is dirty circle, right? Command S. The circle's gone. It's a nice, pretty X, right? X marks the spot of saved code, right? This is nice. So anytime you write code, you're gonna get a circle up in the top. Just save. Command S to save. Okay. What else do I want to do here? We've done Command S. When I made a new file earlier, I had right-clicked over here, or is that what I'd done? No, I had gone File, maybe, and then New File. What you can do is Command. Whoa. Oh my God. What you can do is Command N. Right? Just go Command N, and it'll pop open a new window. And these things are free. What? I can just keep making them. Nobody's charging me. Right? It's free. You keep going on to your heart's content. And they just stack up. Do I need this many? Maybe not. But nobody's charging me. When I want to close one, Command W. Command W closes windows. And again, I can just wham, look at that. All gone. And I'm back down to where I was before. I know that I'm being like a little silly. But what I'm trying to get to you is the fact that I want you to not be scared about the tools that we're using. Right? Making new windows absolutely free. So why not play around with how that works and get very comfortable with it, right? This whole idea of moving around this thing, right? Moving around this thing. Mess around with it. See what things you can break. See what works. See what doesn't, right? You want to know your tools inside out so you can actually be productive. You don't want the tool, like you don't want Sublime Text to be the roadblock for you when you're coding. Like you want the problem to be the problem. You know, our projects are hard enough. So you want that to be an issue. Sublime Text should not be. Same thing's going to go with Git when we talk about Git in a minute. So we've done Command C, X, V, that was copy, cut, and paste. Save, make a new thing. Here's something whack. I'm going to make a bunch of new files by, you know what, let me just make a bunch of new ones and save them. This one is called, this one's going to have a dog in it. This be called dog.js. I'm going to make a new one. Anybody got a favorite emoji? No? Smiley. Alright, we got a smile. I'm going to do this one here. This one's spelled smile.js. And wait, Sam, what's your favorite emoji? I'm going to do woman shrugging. Oh, it's not VS Code. This is Sublime. Oh, okay. Nah. We're going to do shrug. Oh, I guess I did. Shrug plus gender. Cool. So I've got shrug.js. Whoops. I accidentally named my file the shrug emoji, but I meant to name it the word shrug. What I'm trying to do here is make a couple different files, and then here's my demo. I'm just going to save that one. I'm going to close all these ones. I've closed them all. Oh no, how do I open them up again? I could click on it on the side here, but who clicks on things anymore? Right? Who does that? Why not instead use the Command P? So Command P brings up a little drop down with some text where I can start writing things like shrug. And as I'm writing it, like literally as I write it, it loads up that file. Right? Here's another one, dog. I didn't click on it. Sometimes you're in that Zen mode, like you're just coding. You don't want to move your fingers down to the trackpad. Or you might be dealing with something a little kind of intense like this. Like say I go into, here's a file with just like a folder with a bunch of things, and I want to find a particular thing. Okay, I picked the worst possible folder to open up. Let me pick a better one. Okay, here is your jungle project that you will be playing around with in 7 weeks. So there's many files. It can be hard to remember where each file is, but it's easier to remember the name of a file than where it is. I know that somewhere within this labyrinth, I know that there's a file called routes. So instead of having to go find where it is, right, I type in the word routes, and there it is. So Command P, I can type in anything I want. Anything I want. Here's another one, database.yaml. Right? Opening up files willy-nilly without having to go through and search this stuff. Have I convinced you that this is cool? Sweet. Okay, any questions? Cool. I'm going to like rapid fire rattle off some other ones. Here's one, Command Shift P. So similar to Command P, it'll pop up a thing, but there's a shift to it. Generally, if you're in Sublime, you might install packages. And some of those packages are like little plugins that give you extra functionality. There's also functionality already built into Sublime. So if I wanted to do things like, I don't know, what could I do here? Install a package. To call that functionality, I go Command Shift P, install package, and I can run that thing, whatever that does. Right? I just kind of recommend taking a look at Command Shift P eventually. The other thing that you might do is command tilde. So if I have many different Sublime windows open, look at all these Sublime windows, right? I just whoosh, spawned them. Okay, I made a new Sublime window by going Command Shift N as opposed to Command N, which makes new tabs. Command Shift N makes a new window. But assume you have all these windows and you want to cycle between all of them. I'm just going to write some stuff on some of these so that they're like evident that they're all different. Okay. From within Sublime, if I wanted to go to my other Sublime windows, I can go Command tilde and it will cycle through all of my windows. Right? Just cool. Just cool. And we're gonna do one last one. Here's my dogs.js file. Okay. You can command F. You can command F to search for things, like search for the word dog, and it will highlight all the dogs. Command F, I could find, and as long as I keep clicking find, it'll cycle to the next one. That's really useful. If I want to search for something in a different file, like I'm inside a shrug.js, and I want to search for dogs across my entire project, I can command, and I think it's Shift F. Command Shift F, and I go dog. So let me just do that again. Command Shift F, dog. And when I click find or press enter, it'll pop open a new tab for me that shows me it's searched all these files, and it found it in one of them. And if I click on this twice, it takes me there. Right, so as your projects get bigger, search for things. Command Shift F. This will be in the notes. Feel free to write it down. If I want, okay, I have this cat. I'm not a cat person. I hate cats. No, I like cats a lot. But this is a page about dogs. I can highlight the word cat. I can go Command D. How many blinking cursors are there? A bunch of them. I press Command D a bunch of times and it spawns new cursors for the things that I had highlighted. What? Right? So I can place new cursors either by going Option and clicking. Oh no, is it Control and click? I guess I don't know. Well, as long as I've highlighted something, I can go Command D. Yeah. I actually don't know what it stands for. That's a good question. I don't know if it doesn't necessarily need to stand for something. Sometimes they're just in convenient places where your fingers are, right? So I can just replace all of these with dog. And that's cool. Okay. That is everything I'm going to say about Sublime. Right? You might choose to not use Sublime. You might choose something else. That's cool. Get familiar with the tool that you're using so it's not a roadblock and so it's not slowing you down. Right? Obviously, it takes time to get comfortable with it. It doesn't happen immediately. Give yourself some time. Any questions? Okay. So, since this is a longer breakout, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you like a 3-minute break just to get some water or whatever. I need to sip some water. Right? And then we're going to continue and use Sublime and Git just for a quick demo. Answer any questions you have, and then I'll let you go. Sound good? Okay, see you in exactly 3 minutes or so. So like at 3:59, because we're halfway through 3:55. hop into using Git. This part, again, just like what I'd mentioned in the beginning portion of it, I really want you to pay attention to the way that I use these tools, right? Just the method that I go through of like flow. When do I do stuff, right? And if something goes horrifically wrong, what do I do to kind of deal with it, right? Chances are nothing's gonna go like horribly wrong today, but it might tomorrow. Like I'm lecturing you tomorrow, and I might run into a bug or I might break something, right? What do we do, right? What do we do to kind of just get past that? That's something that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so I think what we can do here is let's do something interesting. I'm gonna make a Git repo in a second, but I want to motivate the idea behind a Git repo. So the thing is, what if I make a file? So not this demo.js file, but I'm gonna make one called print emoji.js. Like that's the name of the file. Print emoji.js. Did you catch that? Did you just see the sneaky that I pulled on you? You caught that, didn't you? No? Oh, I thought I saw like a knowing glance. Let me do that again. I started off with an empty file. I wrote out print emoji.js, and then I went save. What? Auto populates the name of the thing, right? Whatever. It just does some stuff. So save. Print emoji.js. Maybe I'm gonna write like a JavaScript function, which we're not even honestly probably gonna run, called print emoji. And I start off and I'm like, oh, okay, the print emoji function, it should console.log a particular emoji. Like maybe it'll console.log the little dancer emoji. I like the little like disco dancer emoji. Okay, like maybe that's what the emoji function does. And then I want to add to this, but I still want to keep my history. So maybe I'll save this file, file save as. Let me call this print emoji version 1.js. Okay, so that was version 1. And then I make a change to it. I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't like the disco dancer emoji anymore. I want it to be the little snake. Print out a little snake. So I go and I save as, and I say, okay, we'll call this one print emoji version 2. And I keep going through this process, and maybe I add more stuff to it. And we've probably all found ourselves at some point in our lives with like maybe an essay that you were writing, or if you're a designer, like a logo that you were working on, right? And you've got like version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, final, I swear this is the final one, version 8, final, oh my god, this is the very last one, I swear, right? Like we've all kind of run into that before in one way or another. And I don't want to run into that with code. Like I don't want to end up with a million copies of the same file so that I can keep going through and just see like my history or whatever, right? Instead, I'd like to automate that, right? I would like to automate that like save as with like version number, and that's what we use Git for. So Git, you make a little, oh no, oh my god, I forgot about all these. You just close all this stuff. Don't save. Don't save. Don't save. I should have closed all these while y'all were away. And don't save. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to fill this in when I send out the notes. But Git is what we call a version control system. It's not the only one, but it's the one that you'll use in boot camp. It's the most popular one. If you ask me, it's the best one. Git, version control, and that's the important part. We're controlling the version of our program, or of our project, really. This is going to allow us to make milestones or checkpoints in our project. We'll start with a little history. Is anybody here like British or from that side of the water? Okay, is Git a nice word? It's not a very nice word. What does Git mean? Yeah, somebody who like annoys you. Yeah, a baby god. I don't think I'd seen that before, but maybe. Um, do I have? I'm just gonna open up a tab here for myself. Git baby goblin. I mean I don't think so, but it could be. Uh, if we just Git is now baby goblin. That's gonna be my new theme for all my lectures is baby goblin. So Git as a word, Git is not a nice word, right? Git means like an idiot or somebody who annoys you. Like that person's a Git. The fact that that's what Git means gives you a little bit of an insight into the world of development. Very much filled with inside jokes. Also filled with interesting people, such as this person right here, Linus Torvalds. Linus. Oh, let's not do news. Well, images. Nice Linus. So I'm going to have this picture up here as I tell you this story. So Linus, or Linus, I'm not Finnish, so I don't know how to pronounce it. Started working on a project called Linux. Started working on a project called Linux, which is a new operating system. It was, new, awesome, cool stuff. He made it. People got on board. People are like, wow, Linux, awesome. Let's keep working on this thing. And they worked on it. And as this project got bigger and bigger, they needed something to keep track of the changes that they were making to the project. Because it starts off, a project starts off 3 lines of code, 10 lines of code, and then all of a sudden you've got 1,000 lines of code. Like, okay, I need some beefy way of saving milestones in my project. So they were using a particular system to control their versions. At some point, somebody on the team started doing funky stuff with that program that they were using to control the versions. And the people who had made that original program got mad. And they said, hey, if you want to use our version control system, which was not Git, it was just something else, like if you want to use it, you're not allowed to do hacky things. And he went like, oh, I don't think so, right? Think again. So he made his own. He's like, fine, I can't use yours, I'll make my own. So April, what was it? We're going to write down some history here. I think it was like April 16th, 2006. I'll fix the dates later, but like Linus is like, I'll make my own. And then a beefy 3 days later, Linus says, I'm done. All right, finished it. Cool. So I'll make my own. 3 days later, finished it. And so if sometimes it feels like the tools that you're using have been hacked together by somebody in 3 days, it might be because they were. So some of the things that happened because of those 3 days are some of the names or some of the words that we use in Git are a little confusing, right? And they've just kind of persisted over time. Well, you'll see what I mean in a second. So Git is used for particularly these things here. I want to keep track of my projects. I want this software, I'm going to write this in all caps because this is important, that keeps track of things to be fast, secure, smart, distributed. I'm going to show you a bunch of commands for using Git. And over the course of really all of boot camp, I'd like you to think about these things and go, thank you, Linus. Because Git is very fast. Git is secure, and you've already run into that, right? Some people, when you cloned and you tried to push, it told you make sure that you have access rights, right? Did people run into that, right? No, some people did, right? You all had to set up SSH keys and stuff, right? For security. Git is smart. You're going to learn about its smartness over time, but I'm just going to put in the words merge here. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but you will eventually. And then distributed for us is going to mean many people can use it. Use a Git thing and not be in the same place. Right? That's what distributed is going to mean for us right now. Okay, so how do we use Git? Git is made up of, I'm going to say Git anatomy is made up of essentially two main things. One is a repo or a repository, and the other one is a bunch of commits to a repo. I'm going to say to the repo. So a repository is going to be essentially a smart folder. And commits are going to be essentially checkpoints. Right? So that's what I want you to keep in mind as you use Git is a repo is a smart folder and commits are checkpoints in that smart folder as you work through your project. A repo can be really just one thing. It's a directory. You pick a directory and you make that a repo. Generally, you'll have one directory as your repo. One directory. One directory per project. Repo. One. I'm going to make a repo right now. I'm inside of Git Good that we'd made earlier. This is not currently a Git repo. I can check to see if it's a Git repo by typing the words git status. Git status is going to check if something is a repo. And if it is, it's going to check the status of the repo. What did I get right now? Not a Git repository. Right? So I'm going to have to make it into a Git repository. Now what you're going to see me do right now is write down the 8 Git commands that, I don't know, will change your life. And then I was going to do some more like, you know that clickbait stuff? Like, doctors hate him or whatever. Like, so here are the 8 Git commands that will change your life. You know, I'm going to go Nima shows you. Doctors hate him. So, first command I just showed you, git status. Right? Check up on the status of the repo. You know, is it a repo? That's the first thing that I might check. We've found out that I'm not currently in a repo, so I'm going to write something in here. I'm going to go git init. Right? So, do people say init? And you are from Ireland. Do people say init in Ireland? Yeah. No, not really. Oh man. Yeah, like init, bruv. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No. Oh man. So git init isn't like it's git init. No, it's more like initialize git. Git initialize. It wasn't a repo. Wham! Initialized repo. Right? Git status. I am now a repo. It showed me different things. You notice what I did there? I ran the same command that I did a minute ago, but I got different output. Right? Different output. So git init initialize a repo, right? Git status is doing something else now as well. It's showing me untracked files. So Git's going to work on the idea of I tell Git to watch particular files, and anytime there's a change to those files, I have the option to make a checkpoint for that file. I, as the developer, have the option to make a checkpoint. So right now, I have all these things here. I could add a change to my repo. Right now, nothing's being tracked, but I can do git add demo.js. Yep.
This is all kind of offline, separate from GitHub, right?
All offline. I haven't even used the word GitHub, right? This is all offline, separate, happening locally. I'm going git add demo. And what add does, if I check status, is that demo has been pulled away from the list of untracked files and added to a list of things that say changes to be committed. They haven't been committed yet, but they've added to be committed. They're in what we call the staging area. And I did that by going git add and then the name of the file. So right now it's git add demo.js, and what I can do here is I'm going to say git add, and then file name says add the changes for that file to the staging area, right? Ready to be committed. Committed. And the next thing that I might do is git commit. Right? Git commit, and we're going to see that the commit command looks like this. Git commit -m, and then we'll write some message. So here I go, git commit -m, add the demo file. Right? I press enter. I got some information. I got the text that I wrote. I got a bunch of random letters and numbers. And then there's a summary of the changes that happened. Create demo.js. Right? Create demo.js. Now, when I go git status, I will no longer see that green stuff. These other files are not being tracked yet. I haven't added them to the thing, and we're going to do that in a minute. Right? But I want to show you the outcome of me not having tracked those files yet. So I've done git status, git init, git add, and git commit with some message which says make a checkpoint for my project, right? Using all those changes that I staged. Make a checkpoint, right? Also, here's a message about the changes. You use Git not just to help yourself in saving like progress, but also to leave little messages to yourself and your team members about what changes you made. Right? That's really important, because if you're working on a big team, you can't just go like checkpoint, 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 checkpoint. You want to say, I saved here because I added this feature. I saved here because I fixed this bug. Does that make sense? Cool. So I've got that. Here's another command, git remote. This command becomes useful when I use GitHub. So all of this stuff I've been doing locally with Git on my machine. But my local repository, I can keep that history of like the progress or whatever, but it's worthless if my machine, gets destroyed, or if I pour beer on it, right? If something bad happens, right? It's worthless. So I want to back up my Git repository somewhere. So I'm going to GitHub and I'm clicking this little plus icon. I'm going new repository. New repository, and I'll give it a name. I'll give it a name like git good what day is it? March 4th? Get good March 4th. There's a bunch of options here. I'm going to ignore all of them and just go create repository. What this is, it's as if I'd run git init on somebody else's machine. Right? I've made a git repo on another computer, off in Seattle or, somewhere in Utah, who knows. Right? I have no idea, on the GitHub servers. And GitHub gives me some information here. If I have an existing repository, I can push it from the command line using this first command here, git, and I'd said remote. So what remote means, if I say git remote add, means I'm adding a backup for my git repo. I'm going to name it something. I could name it origin. I could name it anything I want. I'm going to name mine for the purposes of demo, because I want to show you that this is, where do we go here, my terminal. For the purposes of the demo, I want to show you that you can write anything you want as the name. I'm going to say git remote add potato. Right? Git remote add potato. And I've used that link that I was given. When I press enter right now, nothing happens. It's fine. And what I can do next is go git push -u and then the name that I picked. So GitHub in their instructions, by default, they choose origin. I made mine potato. So I'm going to have to go git push -u potato master. I don't want to talk about what master means right now. Right? For right now, just imagine it's the potato master. Whatever that means. Right? Git push potato master. It's going to take a second. And then it's pushed. I go up here and I refresh. And weirdly, I only see demo.js. Why don't I see the other files? Yeah, I never tracked them. I never tracked them. If I check my git status right now, those had never been tracked. Those had never been tracked. So git remote. Git remote with more options that you will learn over time. Manage your remote backups. And git push. Git push. In my particular case, I did -u potato master. Push your code from local to the backup. Right? Often GitHub. Often, but not necessarily GitHub. So I'm only seeing demo.js here with one commit because that's what I'd done. But I might make more changes, such as if I go git status, I'm seeing all these files. I could add all of them all at once. I could add them all at once with a -a. Git add -a. I go git status, and they're all green. I go git commit with a message, and I say add everything else. And now it's added everything else. Right? I go git push. And after that first time when I go git push u origin master, I can just say git push. Oh no, I can't. Oh, I can. I think it just complains the first time. I just went git push. If I refresh right now, interestingly, I see everything. I see 2 commits because I've made 2 commits. And next to the file, it even shows me the commit message for when I'd added it. I want you to explore GitHub a whole bunch over the course of bootcamp. Call me up. Call other mentors up. When you have some free time, just say, hey, I want to learn more about Git. Because it's an awesome tool. Right? We're going to end it with one thing here. I'm going to say git, or not git. I'm going to go into my file, and I'm going to say, oh, maybe for my my print emoji function, Now I want to change it from the dancing man to the snake, which was that original thing that we were doing. Now when I save, I don't need to save as. I go get status and I see those changes are there and it says modified. Modified. I go get commit change person to snake. Whoops. Sorry. Get add print emoji. So I have to add the changes. So get status. Get commit to say change person to snake. Get push. Takes a second. And now up online, I've got that new commit. I have 3 of them. On my print emoji, I see the snake. But I can also check the history of that file. History. And see that it's keeping track of what it used to be before, which was with the person. No, not here. It had originally been up here with the person, and now it's a snake. Okay? I know that was a lot. I know that was like a bunch to go through. Yeah. Oh, no. So on Macs, if you go Control Command Space, it pops up the emoji menu. Yeah. So I make heavy use of it. Yeah. And then you can search for emojis. So I go beer, and there's beer, and I go. Yeah. There's a whole like encoding kind of thing for it. So I could add potato. So look at a high-res potato. Okay, maybe a little less high-res than one thing, but you still see the little dots. Okay, so that's everything I want to say today. We've ended at 4:27, which is actually 3 minutes before I planned on ending. So congrats to us. With the Git stuff, I'm going to send you notes, right? You know, go through them, make good practice of it. As you run into issues, call me up, call others up, and we'll figure this stuff out together. But the theme of today is genuinely, don't make your tools be the thing holding you back. Right? Become comfortable with Git, become comfortable with Sublime, and things are going to be great. Okay, things will still be hard, but things will be better than they would be if you weren't good at Git and Sublime. Sound good? Okay. Awesome. I'm here for a couple more hours if you need help. Notes will be out, and then I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Oh, what's that? Oh, for the notes? Ooh, okay. Good question. You all have access to notes that are emailed out to you, right? So you'll receive notes through the email, or for any particular day. So you are March 4th here. For any particular day, such as today, when you look at today or a particular day, you scroll down to where it says lectures and breakouts, and say you click on Life as a Dev. You will be able to see the information about that lecture, right? What topics is, the lecturer covering today? And then if you scroll further down, you'll be able to see previous lectures. So you can see Juan's lectures notes, right? So Juan posts their notes over here. You can see my notes from 28 days ago if you click view, right, and see the notes. This is where the notes that I'm going to be posting are. And included in that are often, right, like 95% of the time, recorded lectures. So I'll be posting the recorded lectures in here, and if you go to view, you could watch the lecture from I think this was 2 months ago. So there's me again. Right? So you always have access to this stuff. If you want to watch a lecture ahead of time, that's cool. You still have to come, though. If you watch it, you still have to show up. All right. Have a great rest of the day.